So what if I told you you can get all the benefits of the Galaxy Fold for $100? I've reviewed thousands of phones over the years, and there have definitely been some standouts. But of all the phones to come out of my pocket, there's only one that's been this special. So most of the major manufacturers are working on some version of foldable devices. The three main ones that are available here in the US, two are by Samsung, the Fold and the Z Flip, and of course Motorola Razr. So all the foldable phones are cool and unique in their own right. Got a bunch of videos on these foldables coming, and if you've got your eyes on one of those or maybe another smartphone of your dreams, be sure to subscribe with your notifications on. We hit 1.7 million subscribers. We're going to be doing a dream phone giveaway. But before we talk about things like this, the Galaxy Fold, I want to talk about something like this. So Galaxy Fold is a really interesting phone and one that I've been enjoying using, and maybe you're thinking about getting one, but you don't want to spend $2,000 or even want to know if a foldable device is even for you. I have an answer. We got to go back a little bit in a time machine to 2.5 years ago, towards the end of 2017, with this guy. This is the ZTE Axon M. You've probably never heard of it. It was a total flop. It was an AT&T exclusive when it launched. It came out for around $720. You can get one of these now, brand new from Amazon for $200. I'll link to it down below. We got ours from eBay, slightly used, for $100, and it came next day. But what you're gonna get is an experience pretty similar, and in some ways better, than what you get on modern foldables. Now, this is not truly a foldable. The display itself is not bending. It's a dual screen phone with very thin bezels, but you're gonna get a simulated experience for what you would have with the Galaxy Fold, but actually plus a lot more. You can pick on what you want to be shown here. Do you want one image, one website to be shown all the way across both devices? You can do that. Do you want it to be mirrored on both devices? You can do that too. Have two separate things on each screen. You can do that as well. So in some ways, it solves the problem of the Galaxy Fold with having the smaller screen on the outside, and now you get all the benefits of that larger form factor that completely folds away. Now, similar to Huawei's take on foldables, you do have that outside screen exposed, so potential for, obviously, it could scratch, but it's glass, it's not plastic. That's the benefit of not being a true foldable. And you still get some modern benefits that were surprisingly here in 2017. USB Type-C, which is pretty awesome to have. You got a headphone jack, which hard to find nowadays. Fingerprint reader built into the side. A really solid hinge, and the build quality of this thing is really surprising on how good this phone can be. It's a Snapdragon 821, so certainly not the most up-to-date processor, but everything works. Even watching a YouTube video on one screen and browsing Chrome on the other, I didn't have much of a stutter. This is a really good way to test. First, if you want to get in to the foldable or dual display market, you've got LG with their V50, which I've got right here with two screens. They just announced the V60 with a similar form factor. You've got Microsoft getting to that game with the Duo and dual screens. You can get pretty close to the same experience for $100. And see if you want to spend the $2,000 for a Galaxy Fold, or you want to wait for the next generation. You can kind of experience all the really cool benefits of a folding display for honestly about $100. So certainly there are some drawbacks too. It's an older processor. It's a Snapdragon 821, only 4 GB of RAM in here. Cameras are not overly awesome. And it's running Android 7. That's the most officially supported version of Android, although you can get newer versions on here if you decide that you want to do a little bit of tinkering. I don't know if I'd recommend using this as an only phone. I think you definitely could, but as an extra device and for $100, it's a lot of fun. But if your heart is set on that foldable display and you're willing to invest a little bit of frustration and a lot of money to get into the foldable world, Galaxy Fold, still the way to go. Unfortunately, I haven't had that much hands-on time with the Razr. I'm excited to take a look at it, but I have had a lot of time with the Flip and the Fold. I've been using this guy, the Fold, for the better part of 2 weeks, and my life will be divided now into BF and AF, before Fold and after Fold. And these aren't review samples, this or the Flip. I bought both of these because I was really excited about the form factor. I love what the Fold is building into. The screen on the outside is way too small, but opening it up into something bigger is awesome. Having that mini tablet in my pocket when I want to watch a movie or reply to an email on a giant keyboard or watch Netflix at the gym, it's giving me something new, and I really like that form factor with foldables. And I don't think the Fold is where it needs to be yet, where it's for everybody. When it comes to the Flip, this is an interesting phone. It opens up into a much larger device, and it's been fun to use. The hinge here is much better than what you've got on the Fold. And maybe that's the reason this phone even exists, is for Samsung to continue to work and test their hinges. But the same complaints here. I wish the screen on the outside was bigger. The little tiny, I think it's a 1-inch screen, is not so usable. But again, opens up into a full-size phone. And this is a perfect form factor for somebody who wears tighter pants or carries phones in a purse. You get a larger phone size in a smaller phone form factor. I don't think that I'm that buyer, but I do like to have it. On both of these, I wish the fingerprint readers were located underneath the screen, or there's some sort of face identification going on here, but those are trade-offs that I could happily live with for the really novelty of these differing form factors. As the whole smartphone industry was changing and evolving, there were companies on the fringe that were offering these expensive, different products that certainly weren't meant for the mainstream. And if you're willing to pay those prices, you could try a device that probably shouldn't be out, or maybe wouldn't be widely available in that form factor for 2 to 3 years. So as cool as these phones are now, there are certainly drawbacks. They are insanely fragile. I am terrified to take either of these phones really out anywhere. Insanely expensive, $2,000 and $1,400 if you decide to buy them new. These are more developer editions or widely available proofs of concepts, devices that Samsung is allowing people to buy if they choose to. And you can see where these phones are going, where they're going to evolve to more mainstream devices. You can look at something like the Fold and imagine a bigger screen on the outside. Imagine an in-screen fingerprint reader and an S Pen, and very easily see this morphing into what will be the Note maybe next year or a few years from now. You can see things like the Flip changing and maybe becoming the Galaxy S line, or being a version of the Galaxy S line. You can very clearly see the evolution, and I think that's why I'm so excited about foldables, to sort of be here from the first step into what it's becoming. And we haven't had that big first step for a really long time. So I think it's safe to say that somewhere in every big mobile manufacturer's labs, there's some version of a foldable. We've seen Apple's patents for foldable devices. I think eventually Apple will get into foldables. I think this is going to become mainstream, but in a very Apple way. They're not going to take the Samsung approach. They're not going to develop these out in the open. But I don't think we get to an Apple foldable unless companies like Samsung, Motorola, and Huawei take those first risks, gauge customer reaction to foldables. I don't think we get those devices from Apple and sort of the other maybe more quiet manufacturers. So these, I think, are really paving the way, and we will have devices from Apple. I think we will eventually have a Pixel Fold. LG may get into the actual folding game instead of just the dual screens. And I don't think that that evolution is really that far away. So I still maintain that nobody should get into foldables right now. If you decide that you want to get into it because you want to try the cutting edge and you have the budget to do it, know that going in. Know you're being part of essentially a developer edition phone. You're paying a premium to try a beta product. And I'm okay with that because I think the experience is so new and unique, and I want to support that. But I think when it comes to the Fold and the Flip, wait and see is the best approach for those two and for all foldables. Wait and see what comes with Gen 2. Wait and see if hinge issues get fixed and if screen issues get resolved and cameras get improved. Wait to see what happens, and wait to see, most importantly, if those prices eventually come down.